Welcome to another episode of Read with Bola. So we all know the advantage of reading. It's very important. Readers are leader. If you want to be a leader, you have to read. And if you want your journey in life to be so fast, you have to read because there are a lot of things you will read in a book that will make your journey so fast. So we all know the book we are treating is How to Win and Influence Friends. So we are going to be starting from where we continue yesterday, from where we stopped yesterday. And what we have learned so far is that we should not criticize. Criticism has a lot of disadvantage. When you start criticizing people, it has the way of showcasing you to be a bad person to the other party, and it has a way of coming back just like a homing pigeon. Whatever you do unto others shall be done unto you. So let's cultivate the habit of not criticizing anybody, no matter what they have done. Always take a second to think about it before you make that decision. Always think about it over and over again before you think about it. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into it. If I had Mate's timid temperament, perhaps I would have done just what he had done. Anyhow, it is water on the bridge now. If I send this letter, it will relieve my feelings. But if I make May try to justify himself, it will make him condemn me. It will arouse hard feelings, inspires all his further use usefulness as a commander, and perhaps force him to resign from the army. You can see, imagine Lincoln was able to send that letter. It would have relieved him. At least he would have said, okay, I was able to pour out my mind. I was able to pour out my mind. I was able to say what was on my mind, and my mind is now relieved. But what will happen to the third party, to the second person? The first person we actually find every means to justify themselves, and where we now have to tag the other person a wrong person. You become a wrong person because you have accused them, you have justified them, you have criticized them. You have criticized them rather. And once you have criticized them, automatically they will find a way to want to justify themselves. And in the process, you become a bad person. And look at Lincoln and Maid. He might actually want Maid to resign from the work he's doing. And that is the reason why a lot of great potentials, a lot of workers, a lot of marriages have broken, a lot of relationships have broken because you are always criticizing one another. You criticize your employee too much, you do not see the good thing in them, automatically they make them not to want to love you because you're always criticizing them. Do we understand? Criticizing has a lot of damage to do, so we should just do away with criticizing. Theodore Roosevelt said that when he, as a president, was confronted with perplexing problem, he used to lean back and look up at a large painting on Lincoln's, which hung above the desk in the White House, and ask himself, what would Lincoln do if it were in my shoe? How would he solve this problem? Mark Twain lost his temper occasionally and wrote letters that turned the paper brown. For example, he once wrote to a man who had aroused his ire. The things for you is a burial permit. You have only to speak and I will see that you get it. On another occasion, he wrote to an editor about a perfidious attempt to improve my spellings and punctuation. He ordered, set the matter according to my copy hereafter, and see that the proofreader retains his suggestion in the mousse of decay brain. The writing of these singing letters made Mark Twain feel better. They allowed him to blow off steam, and the letters didn't do any real harm because Mark's wife secretly lifted them out of the mail. They were never sent. Do you know someone you would like to change and regulate and improve? Good. This is fine. I am all in favor of it. But why not begin on yourself? This is a very, very good book for us. Imagine somebody wants to send a mail about a proofreader who they want him to improve some spellings or possibly some sentences. You know what proofreaders do now. So, and the letter that was reading in form of discouragement to the proofreader. But the person who wrote it, the wife did not send the letter. Why? Because it is not going to sound well. At the end of the day, the proofreader might want to do something even worse. And that is where we go wrong. We do not know that when we criticize people, we are always planting bad seed inside of them. They begin to eat people automatically because you criticize them. And that's the way it is. So do you want to help yourself to get, do you have people you want to help to get or do away with criticism? Yes, a lot of people. But the most important thing is that you have to work on yourself first. That is the number one thing. You can't give what you don't have. So you have to work on yourself first. If you work on yourself, then you can now start helping other people. From a purely selfish standpoint, that is a lot and more profitable than trying to improve others. Yes, and a lot less dangerous. Don't complain about the snow on your neighbor's roof, said Confucius. When your own doorstep is unclean, you can imagine. Do not complain about somebody else's character or maybe bad character, so to say, while your own character is even worse. It's as simple as that. Everybody has one thing or the other, but why are you always talking about the other person in the wrong way? When I was still young and trying to impress people, I wrote a foolish letter to Richard Arden Davis, an author who once loomed large on the literary horizon of American. I was preparing a magazine article about Otto. I asked Davis to tell me about his method of work. A few weeks earlier, I had received a letter from someone with a notation at the bottom, dedicated, not read. I was quite impressed. I felt that the writer must be very big and busy and important. I wasn't the slightest bit busy, but I was eager to make an impression on Richard Harding Davis, so I ended my short note with the word dedicated but not read. Let's continue. He never troubled to answer the letter. He simply returned it to me with this scribbled across the bottom. He simply returned the letter to me with this scribbled across the bottom. Your bad manners are exceeded only by your bad manners. Through. I had bonded and perhaps I deserved this rebuke, but being human, I resented it. I resented it so sharply that when I read of the death of Richard Harding Davis 10 years later, the one thought that still persisted in my mind, I am ashamed to admit it, was the oath he had given me. If you and I weren't to stir up a resentment tomorrow that may wrinkle across the decades and endure until death, just let us indulge in a little stinging criticism, no matter how certain we are that is no matter how certain we are that it is justified, no matter how certain we the thing is, a lot of people go into arguments, and on the long run, maybe you start criticizing somebody. Imagine somebody did Let me give an example. I used to be when I was in school. I in my year one, I was coming from home because my school is closer to my house. So I used to come from home. But in my year two, I stayed in the school hostel. So in my hostel, there is this girl. She's calm, she's cool, she has good sense of humor, and she's brilliant, she's very, very intelligent, and people love her so much. And there is this other girl who envies her so much. She envies her to the core that people start thinking that, come, what is wrong with these two people? Do they have something they are dragging with each other? But the other girl is always calm, and you understand. But this other girl that does not like her Dami does not like Temitope. So Dami now one day now went and spoiled Temitope and said the reason why she's coming out in flying colors is because the lecturer are always favoring her in class and that blah blah blah, and he started criticizing her that the good character she has is just for a show off and this and that and that and this. So immediately when Temitope heard of it, she became so weak. And that was the end of everything. They never spoke to each other until they left that school. Imagine Temitope remembering her, she will always think of that incident for the rest of her life. And that's the way it is. The reason why you're not greeting your neighbor now is because you heard that your neighbor criticized you. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Criticism is creating enmity. It will create enmity between you and your boss. That is why if your boss is correcting you and you feel it's not really good the way he's correcting you, you now have hatred. If your boss is coming out, you say, oh, this man is coming again like this. You will be feeling uncomfortable. But imagine he wants to correct you and he now corrected you with compliment. Trust me, you will always be looking forward to that boss. And you will always want to work with that boss, no matter what. So that's the difference between it. It is not really good to criticize. Everything still boils down on criticism. If we have the habit of criticism in us, yes, we are human. A lot of things happen. Criticism comes as a result of the environment we grew up in. Yes, the environment, the community which we belong to. There are some communities now they believe, okay, criticism is the order of the day, and that is what they do. If you do not criticize somebody now, you say, me, you say, but nonsense, me, I do not take nonsense. And that is how I will say it because it's on my mind. Trust me, you have acted negatively. It will actually affect you and it will affect the other side. So let's do away with what? Criticism. He never troubled to answer the letter. I've read it. When dealing with people, let us remember we are not dealing with creatures of logic. We are dealing with creatures of emotion, creatures bristling with prejudice and motivated by pride and vanity. Yes, when you are dealing with people, know that these people, blood is flowing through their veins. Imagine you now came to me now and I say you didn't even come to me directly. Now maybe you went to one of my neighbors and you started talking about me and I now heard. How will I feel? How will I now feel? I will feel so bad. I will feel unloved. I will be so emotional about it that even when I see you the following day, I will not greet you. Because of what you have criticized me. And I will want to justify myself. In the process of justifying myself, I will now paint you to be the bad person. And that's the way it is. If you criticize Bola for what she has done, Bola also will criticize you. Simple. So that's the way it is. It is better we do not just, if you don't know what to say, just remain quiet and just be looking at the situation. Let's see how it's going to end. So it is very, very important. Criticism is a bad habit. Let's do away with it. Bitter criticism caused the sensitive Thomas Hardy. Bitter criticism caused the sensitive Thomas Hardy, one of the finest novelists ever to enrich English literature, to give up the writing of fiction. Criticism drove Thomas Chatterton, the English poet, to suicide. Benjamin Franklin, tactless in his youth, became a diplomatic. Benjamin Franklin, tactless in his youth, became so diplomatic, so adroit at handling people, that he was made American ambassador to France. The secret of his success: I will speak ill of no man, he said, and speak all the good I know of everybody. Imagine somebody. Benjamin Franklin, tactless in his youth, became so diplomatic, so adroit at handling people that he was made American ambassador to France. The secret of his success, I will speak of ill of no man. Let this be your motto. Let this be what your motto. That is the secret to success. In every organization we find ourselves, that is the secret to success. Speak ill of nobody. Just try to speak ill of nobody. Speak ill of nobody and speak good about everybody that you have ever met. Even if that person has not really done something, find something good in that person. Just appreciate the fact that God brought you together. And you will be loved by everybody. You will be loved by everybody. There is a saying that everybody cannot love you. Yeah, that is quite all right. But it is possible for people not to really see bad thing in you because you have refused to do bad thing. You have refused to criticize people. It is what you do unto others, that is what will be done unto you. It is the way you treat others that you will be treated. Imagine you are not speaking bad of anybody. Automatically, nobody will speak bad about you. Yes, it's just like the homing pigeon. It always come back. It has a way of finding its way back home. And it is something we can try. Don't always say the bad aspect of somebody. Yes, even Jesus said, if they slap your ear, turn the second side for them. Imagine now, our Lord Jesus Christ, that is what he said. So how much more? Whatever that might want to cause criticism, just calm. Stay put for like 1 minute and okay. Don't let me take a rushy decision. So you just have time to think over it so that you too, nobody will speak bad about you. Let's continue. Are you enjoying it? I'm enjoying it. Thank you. So that's the success that Benjamin Franklin has. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. Any fools can criticize, condemn. Some people will condemn somebody to the extent that you will not find any good in that person. They will so condemn that person that they will say, is it God that ever created this person? It's so funny. That is the way some people are. And this book is referring to them as fools. If you are condemning somebody, if you are fond of condemning somebody, I am telling you today that it is a bad habit. And that might be the reason why success has not really come. If you're always criticizing people, for somebody to have done something you think might be a bad thing, there is always a decision behind that thing. Why not get to ask that person, okay, what happened? Why did you behave like that? Put yourself in the shoe of that person and you will see that if you were that person, if you're in the shoe of that person, you will have done the same. It is only fools that criticize and condemn. Do you think if you criticize somebody, you will not be criticized? Do you think if you condemn somebody today, you will not be condemned? That is just a simple truth. It is only fools that criticize and condemn. And this set of people are always bittered. They harbor pain, they harbor bitterness. These are the kind of people that find it difficult to be successful because what? They are always harboring bitterness, and a lot of bad things will now start happening around them. A lot of negative things will now start manifesting in their life. Why? Because they harbor bitterness, because they are condemning people, because they do not see good things that is happening to people. They don't appreciate people. When you see somebody that is coming out because you do not like that person now, you will now be frowning. And trust me, research shows is that it is this kind of people that used to fall ill most of the time. Because before you know it, now they start having blood pressure. Because they are eating on somebody they are supposed to like. And the funniest part of it is that person will not even see them. That person will not even send them. That person will be living his life and they will be eating and they will be getting sick. So that's the way it is. It is only a fool that will criticize and condemn. I will not be a fool. So we have to drop that habit. It is important that we drop the habit of criticism. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. It takes character and self-control. Yes, everybody wants to get angry. Everybody wants to to get angry. Everybody wants to justify themselves. Everybody wants to pour out their emotion. But it takes what? A good character and a good habit. And that is what we are learning now. The truth is that the other party does not even care. The other party is enjoying their life. And you are hating. Before you know, you start having palpitation. Before you know it, your body will start shaking. Do you understand? It takes a good character for somebody to be loving and forgiving. It takes a good character. If somebody offends you immediately, just go turn let it just go. Let it just go, let it just go, and that's all. Before you know, you start progressing. The other party will not be saying, eh? Even the person that I even shouted at, the person that I cursed, the person that I said all sort of things to, the person does not even see it. That is the spirit of forgiveness, and you will be living your life to the fullest, and you will be flying, and success will be all around you, and great people will start coming to you, and you start manifesting your dream life. So that's the way it is. It only takes good character. It takes what? It takes a good character and self control to be understanding and forgiving. Immediately somebody does bad thing to you, just see yourself that, let me just put yourself in that person's shoe. Okay, let's say I'm in this person's shoe. I would have behaved the same way the person has behaved. And that's all. That wins it all. You will not have any bad emotions attached to the issue on ground. And that's all. Everybody will be living peacefully ever after. Are you following? A great man shows his greatness, said Kylie, by the way he treats little men. A great man shows his greatness, said Kylie, by the way he treats little men. Bob Avon, a famous test pilot and frequent performer at air shows, was returning to his home in Los Angeles from an air show in San Diego. As described in the magazine Flight Operations, at 3,000 feet in the air, both engines suddenly dropped. By daft maneuvering, he managed to land the plane, but it was badly damaged, although nobody was hurt. Hallelujah. Over's first act after the emergency landing was to inspect the aeroplane's fuel, just as he suspected. The World War II propeller plane he had been flying had been fueled with jet fuel rather than gasoline. You can imagine. A plane that was carrying a lot of passengers. They fueled it with what? What did they fuel it? They fueled it with jet fuel rather than gasoline. Imagine fueling plane with jet fuel. How do you think they were just trying to put the lives of those passengers in danger? So now let's see how the pilot reacted to this situation. Upon returning to the airport, he asked to see the mechanics who had serviced the aeroplane. The young man was sick with agony of his mistake. Tears streamed down his face as Avo approached. He had just caused the loss of a very expensive plane and would have caused the loss of 3 lives as well. You can imagine Avo's anger. One could anticipate the tongue lashing that this proud and precise pilot would unleash for that carelessness. But Avo didn't scold the mechanics. He didn't even criticize him. Instead, he put his big arm around the man's shoulder and said, "To show you I am sure that you will never do this again, I want you to service my F51 tomorrow." Hey, Jesus is Lord. Somebody that damaged a whole plane and almost allowed 3 people to lose their life. If it were you, what would you have done as a pilot? You would have just gone there and the first encounter with that mechanic is you would just give that mechanic a dirty slap. What is wrong with you? Look at the damage you have caused. But the pilot was calm, even with the fact that he was furious and was unhappy about the damage that the mechanic has caused. The mechanic himself was even aware that, okay, he has actually caused a lot of damage. And he was crying. But look at how the pilot approached it. If it was me, I will not even go and give him my NTF 51 to service. So am I sure he will not do the same mistake? But that is the best way to do, because he will be so careful the next time. He will think and say, even with the big mistake I made, this person did not criticize me. This person has given me another chance to prove my competence. So with the whole of his heart, he is going to service the F1 properly. So that's the way it should be. The fact that somebody did a mistake does not mean we should now crucify them because of that mistake. They will do worse mistake in that way. Why not encourage them to be extra careful the next time? And that's how it is. Imagine that mechanic now. How will he be seeing the pilot? He will see the pilot as a good person. He will see the pilot as a wonderful person. He will see the pilot as somebody who he can always run to. He will see the pilot as a lifesaver, because if it is another pilot, that person would have just sacked the mechanic. Go to your house, because what are you thinking about? The job they gave you, you are not competent. You wanted to just crash people just like that, because of your level of incompetence. But look at the way the pilot approached it. And that is the way we are supposed to be approaching issues. That's the way we are supposed to be approaching matters in any situation. Let's not allow our anger to help us to take hasty or irrational decisions, which will mar the situation of things. It is only a fool that criticizes and condemns. So I have come to talk to us today. Don't let us be a fool. Let's do away with criticism, because it is halting the person who is criticizing, not just the person who is being criticized. If you know how to gossip very well, you are gossiping about somebody, you are criticizing about person because somebody is a success. The thing is, whatever you want to achieve in life, you don't say bad thing about that thing. You want to have a car now, and when you see a Lamborghini pass, you say, oh, that driver, what's even driving? And you want to have a Lamborghini. How now? You're not supposed to be criticizing what you want to have. And criticism does not solve any problems. It only add to the problem that is on ground. So I've come to tell us today, if not that I have read this book, I wouldn't have known that criticism was actually a bad thing. I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known the kind of damage it can cause health-wise. Criticism, if you criticize somebody now, you will think you are winning. That you are trying to soil the name of the other person in mud, not knowing it is just like a home pigging. It will always come back. Please, it is a bad habit to criticize and to condemn. So I want us to do away with what? Criticism. We are going to be stopping here today. I will continue from there tomorrow. Always make sure you follow me, save my video, share with loved ones, like and subscribe to my channel. I love you. Bye-bye.